Hi crafters, I have a really fun technique for today's card. In fact, two techniques. How's that for you? We are going to be doing this card today, which is actually involving some triple panel stamping and some wrinkle-free distress. Now, to show you the products that we're going to be using, we have the Just Right Vintage Labels 3 die set. We are going to be using the Winged Vintage Labels 2 and 3 from Just Right Stamps to do the sentiment on our card. The star of the show is the Floral Thank You from Just Right. It's a lovely silhouette stamp. And to do the butterfly, we're going to be doing it with the Spellbinders Wonderful Wings. Okay, so let's get started. Let me put these aside. So the first thing we're going to be doing is our wrinkle-free distress technique. Now I've chosen some Peacock Feathers Distress Ink, some Mustard Seed Distress Ink, and we're going to use a little bit of the Forest Moss Distress Ink. Okay? Now this technique's kind of fun because we're going to get really good and messy too. So what we're going to do is just smear it onto our craft mat, and it's really important that you use a craft mat for this. And we're going to just put down some color here and there. Now, once you've got that laid down, we're going to spritz it with some water. Get it nice and wet. You want those colors to be able to run together, okay? Using a piece of coconut white card, we are just going to pick it up. And to do so, we're just going to kind of move it around. And then you can pick it up and see what you've got here. And if you want a little bit more of another color or you want it to be a little wetter, it's your choice. You can add and create and do it however you like with this. See, we've got some lovely tones coming through here. Let's get a little bit more there. So just fill out your entire piece of cardstock there, and you're going to set it aside to dry or use a heat tool to make sure it's good and dry to continue on with your stamping. Now, I've already done some ahead of time. So let me get a piece of tissue and we'll wipe this up, and we will get started with the stamping portion of our video. Okay, so what you need to do for your triple panel stamping is you're going to do 3 of these, but they're going to be in smaller sizes, okay? And use a tiny little piece of your double-sided tape, put it on the back, and you're going to just layer them up so they're evenly centered. Let me get this last one on there. That looks pretty good, don't you think? And I find it easy to actually put one so it'll stick to my craft mat a little bit. So I'm just going to stick one right there. Okay, then we're going to take our stamp, and now, like I said, I'm using the large floral silhouette out of the Floral Thank You and some black archival. We're going to ink this up, and you want to get it really nice and covered, so it's just a gentle tapping all over the stamp till you're happy with it. There we go, that's not bad. And you're going to stamp catching all of those labels. Now I'm going to have to lean over just a tiny bit here and give it a good press. Make sure you get good coverage there. Now, take that away. All right, perfect, just what I wanted. Let me do another one. We're going to ink it up again. Now, as you'll notice, where those layers come together, you have a void. That's the interesting part of this technique, is we'll show you how you can work around that to get a beautiful look. Let's put one down here. Same thing, we're going to give it a good press. And you've got 3 layers you're working on there, so really make sure you press as firmly as you can. There we go, perfect. Now, let me set this aside. Okay, so now you gently peel these apart and see where that void is, where your flower and the edge come. You can't get your stamp in there quite so well. So what we do is we create a mat for it. Now, I've already got one prepared for the back of my card, so I'm going to just put a little bit of double-sided tape here. Get it all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and put this on my black mat. There we go. Now don't forget you've got a little piece of sticky tape there from where you lined it up, but that's going to be covered, so don't even bother pulling that apart. So my next one here, my middle size, I'm going to go ahead and put this onto a matching mat. And it's a really interesting phenomena that your mind will actually create, will fill in that void where it's missing on your stamp. It's a very, very fun technique, and you can do this with any kind of color combination you like, your choice. So let's line that one up there, get that on there real good. And I've got a little bit of mounting foam on here to give it dimension. So we'll peel this off. And then layer this up, and I need to just do a little leaning over just to double check I've got it straight, because you want to line up all your lines. That looks pretty good. You can take more time when you do yours. And the last piece here, we'll get that one put on there, and it's already got that little piece of tape on there, so your center is stuck down for you. And put it on its black mat. There we go. And a little bit more mounting foam. So we have kind of almost like a pyramid effect going on. So, right, line up that. Get all your leaves in line. There we go. So now you can see a complete floral image coming up on both sides. The other little thing is, and I've said this before, is if you've got little spots that didn't quite come out as black as you would like them, not a pen, but a pencil, a colored pencil, a black pencil, and just kind of fill them in, and you won't even notice. You can just go through and just tap it up to your own satisfaction on that. Okay, so now we've got the base of the card done. So we are going to do our sentiment. So I've already stamped this. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out with the Vintage Labels 3, a little bit of removable tape for it. It's easy to line it up once you've stamped it. And I like to put tape on both sides of it. So let me get my cutting mat and my base plate here, and we're going to pop that through our grand caliber. You can put that right to the end of your grand caliber and then just pop it up and pop it back. It's a quick cut. And I tell you what, what's really nice with your sentiments is if you do your embossing, because it does bring out the beauty in them. So I'm just going to pop my tan mat on there and change it around, put my pink embossing plate on the top, and give it a little bit of embossing while we're here. There we go. And one of the other things that really brings out a nice look on your cards is if you stencil through your die. So let me get this one. We've stuck to the tan mat. There we go. Let me get this one, and I'm going to reseat it into my die. That happens periodically. Nothing to worry about. I'm going to pop it down there. And as long as your tape isn't covering your image there, you can go ahead and ink through your die. Now I'm going to be using a little bit of Distress ink. This is the Tumbled Glass by Tim Holtz. And just picking it up with a little piece of cut and dry foam and working my way in a circular motion around the edge, just leaving a very soft highlight around my sentiment there. It just brings your eye in to focus when you're looking at a card. It's totally up to you how much you put on. You can make it heavier or lighter, your own personal preference for this. I'm going to pop that out, and so you can see that I've just got a beautiful framed image there. Okay, now let me take this off. Don't forget to take your dies off. You don't want to throw those away. And we're going to do a little bit of mounting up. Now I've gone ahead and cut a couple of items ahead of time. Let me get a hold of these. Work through my mess here. These are tags from the Fancy Frame Tags 2 set. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut one in black, and I've put a little bit of mounting foam on that. I'm going to seat that right about there. And then on this one, I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to create just a little bit of an edge peeking out from my sentiment. Let me find, oh, there's my tape here. So what I want to do is put a little bit of tape on the back of this. And I just want it to sit on the edge of my sentiment. Like that on one side. Like this on the other side. And you can take more time and make sure it's nice and straight and centered if you like. And then we're just going to put a little bit more mounting foam to secure it. but it gives just a kind of a little more fancy look to your sentiments. I mean, it's nice to use the die cuts in different ways. They don't have to be the shape and length that they are. You can cut them and make them into whatever you need them to be. There we go, so that's in place. And I've cut a butterfly from the Wonderful Wings. I went ahead and did it in white, coconut white card and a little bit of vellum on the top. So you've got the little wings sticking up. So it kind of creates like a softer look to it. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my card up in the corner with a glue dot, because I like to have the wings where they can kind of look like there's movement to them if you let them flutter free a bit. Oop. There we go. Put that on there, and I've added a few pearls. There we go. So my card is finished, but I do want to show you one more thing. I'll quickly show you the finished card. But if you notice, I've pierced around the edge. This is something I like to do. And I think we have a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and show that to you right now. So let me set that aside. And I've just picked a smaller piece of card. You can do this to whatever size you need. It's dependent on whatever card size you're looking for. So I'm just going to do a little sample size to show you. Now, what I use is a very dense foam mat. If you look at this, it's actually so dense that you can't even leave fingerprints in it. You don't want to use like a mouse pad or styrofoam or anything like that. Very, very dense mat, and it's probably about ½ inch thick. And what I do is I take my piercing ruler. In fact, I'll show you. We have these in the package. There we go. And as you notice, there's a line of small holes all the way along the bottom edge there, and a little bit of a beveled edge to it. So what I do is I line that edge up with the edge of my card. And if you notice the little hash marks, I try to get them onto as even a plane as possible. I always start 2 holes in, and I use these stick pins to hold my card in place, and 2 holes in. So you can see where I'm at right there, okay? Now, I use a 1 millimeter diameter needle tool for these particular holes, and it's exactly the right size. And then I just work my way along, piercing through each hole. And just go in all the way into each hole so you have a nice round uniform size of the hole that's going to show, and work your way along there. There you go. And I always move my hand and hold the ruler in place as I go also. There we go. Now, next what you need to do is take that, so you've got a perfectly pierced row there, turn it, and take that same hole, line up your ruler, put your stick pin back in that hole, go back onto the other side, 2 holes in, and work again. If you're doing a longer piece of cardstock, because some of my cards are quite large, then what you're going to want to do is move your hand as you go. And when you do, make sure to leave that pokey tool in place so it's more stability for you. And just move your hand along as you go. And just work it. And move it. And then if you get to the end, you find it's a little bit difficult to get around that, you can just hold it in place until you get to that hole. It's nice having that, that pin in that second hole there because it stops you from going too far too. Sometimes you get a little carried away and just keep on piercing. Anyway, then we just go all the way around till we meet up all 4 sides, and we'll have a pierced piece of card. So that's as simple as it is. It's a lovely signature piece that I like to do on my cards. Anyway, for today's card, I think that we've shown you a couple of fun techniques, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. I look forward to seeing you again.